dress codes function as what researcher Layla Main calls a hidden fee, signaling who's welcome and who isn't. In contrast, more relaxed environments increase accessibility. For example, National Golf Foundation reports that places like Topgolf, which don't enforce dress codes, are nearly 45% more diverse than traditional golf courses. However, some traditionalists argue that dress codes preserve the sport's identity. Willow Springs Country Club professional Jimmy Gherkin warns that relaxing rules can drive away local members and reflecting the idea that long-standing traditions are difficult to change. The economic lens must also be considered. Even if the dress codes are relaxed, golf remains expensive. Economist Dr. Anthony Panessa explains that the sport has a high price of entry, with beginner clubs costing between $500 and $1,000. Additionally, there are 70% more golf courses in wealthy areas than in lower income communities, which limits accessibility. Although some argue that used clubs or discounted tee times may make the sport more affordable, these solutions fail to address the initial cost barrier. This aligns with the source from the AP Stimulus Pack as well, which argues that public spaces fail when financial standing determines who has access. The psychological lens is also important. Beyond cost, golf culture includes unwritten rules and creates intimidation. Sociologist Dr. Alina Rodriguez found that 65% of non-golfers feel intimidated by the sport's etiquette and fear of being judged. This creates etiquette silos, where only those who are familiar with the culture feel comfortable participating. This directly contradicts the Surgeon General Vivek Murthy's argument that social spaces must act as inclusive third places to combat loneliness and rebuild community. This leads me to propose a call to action. After recognizing the complexity of the issue, I developed two potential solutions. The first solution is implementing a modern athletic standard with apparel closets, which provide free or low-cost golf attire. Evidence shows that courses with relaxed dress codes have a 12% higher rate among Gen Z golfers, suggesting that reducing appearance-based barriers increases long-term participation. This graph shows that courses with relaxed dress codes have a 12% higher retention rate among Gen Z players, indicating that low appearance barriers increases continued participation. One limitation of this solution is that organizations such as the USGA argue that dress codes are necessary to maintain the honor and discipline of the game. Additionally, private clubs may resist adopting these challenges because they want to preserve tradition and satisfy long-term members. Finally, because clubs operate independently, the implementation of these policies may be inconsistent across different locations. Despite these challenges, this solution could significantly increase diversity and youth engagement in sport. It would also shift the focus of golf away from appearance-based judgment and towards skilled participation in overall enjoyment of the game. Since the limitations outweigh the implications, I developed a stronger solution. The second solution focuses on improving systematic accessibility by reducing equipment costs, expanding public golf programs, and increasing course availability in undeserved communities. This approach aligns with the idea of democratization of leisure from the AP Stimulus Package, which emphasizes making activities accessible to a wider population. One limitation of this solution is that it requires significant funding and long-term structural changes, which may be difficult to implement. Additionally, expanding access to courses and equipment will require cooperation with multiple organizations, making the process more complex. However, this solution will promote long-term inclusivity across different socioeconomic groups and help transform golf into a true community third place. By making the sport more accessible, it can strengthen social connections and reduce the sense of isolation that many individuals experience today. Overall, the problem is causing golf to remain exclusive and inaccessible, and without changes made to both cultural norms and financial barriers, the sport risks losing relevance in the future. I use these sources to develop our argument.
Thank you very much. We'll get started with the questions. Okay. So, how did your research question evolve as you moved through the research process? And did your research go in a different direction than you originally planned, or how about those?
At first, I was mainly focused on whether dress codes in golf were outdated. As I continued researching,
respond to any of the other research or sources you examined?
My conclusion builds off the sources by combining their